1 month after the fight, the Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Representatives from every major species gathered in the Great Hall on the Central Station, a place where the laws of the galaxy were made and broken. Normally, the Council only met for matters of war or trade. Today, they were meeting because of a single human woman. Eunice stood at the center of the hall, surrounded by beings of every shape and size. She was still recovering from the fight, but she could walk now. She could stand. That was enough. Beside her stood Taiho and Instructor Vorin. The three of them had become an unlikely team over the past month. Vorin had used his reputation to demand this meeting. Taiho had helped Yuna prepare for it. Now they stood together, waiting for the council to speak. The head of the council was an ancient being called a crystalline. It was made of living glass that caught the light in beautiful patterns. Its voice was like wind chimes in a storm. "We have gathered here to discuss the incident at the Galactic Combat Academy," the crystalline said. The incident in which a human demonstrated abilities that were previously unknown to the galactic community. Murmurs ran through the crowd. Yuna could feel the weight of hundreds of eyes on her. Some members of the council believe this is cause for concern, the crystalline continued. They worry that humans may be more dangerous than we realized. They have proposed new restrictions on human activities and new monitoring of human populations. Yuna felt her stomach tighten. This was what she had feared. One moment of strength, and now the galaxy wanted to put chains on her entire species. Other members believe this is an opportunity, the crystalline said. They see potential in human biology. They wish to study it, to understand it, perhaps to find ways to replicate it. That was not much better, Yuna thought. Being studied like an animal in a laboratory. Before we make any decisions, the crystalline said, we will hear from those directly involved. Instructor Vorin, please step forward. Vorin walked to the center of the room. His arm was fully healed now, but he still moved it carefully, as if remembering the pain. I have been a warrior for over 100 years, Vorin began. I have fought enemies from across the galaxy. I have trained thousands of cadets from dozens of species. In all that time, I have never been defeated in single combat. He paused, letting those words sink in, until I fought a human. The murmurs in the crowd grew louder. Vorin held up his hand for silence. When I first met Cadet Yuna, I dismissed her. I dismissed all humans. I looked at their small bodies, their soft skin, their lack of natural weapons, and I saw nothing worth respecting. I was wrong. He turned to look at Yuna. In our fight, something happened that I have never experienced before. When I pushed Yuna to the point of death, she changed. Her eyes changed. Her strength changed. Her speed changed. For a few moments, she became something else. Something that could match me. Something that could hurt me. He held up his formerly injured arm. She broke my wrist with her bare hands. A calothi wrist, reinforced by generations of evolution on a heavy gravity world. She shattered it like it was made of dry branches. The crowd was completely silent now. I have studied this since our fight, Vorin continued. I have read every record we have about humans, and I have learned something that should concern everyone in this room. He turned to face the council. Humans evolved as prey. On their world, they were not the strongest or fastest creatures. They were hunted by predators much larger and more dangerous than themselves. And yet, they survived. They survived and became the dominant species on their planet. Vorin began to pace slowly across the floor. They did this by developing a survival response unlike anything else in the galaxy. When humans are in mortal danger, their bodies release chemicals that temporarily remove their physical limitations. Their muscles become stronger. Their reflexes become faster. Their minds become focused on one thing only, not dying. He stopped and faced the council again. This response is encoded in their very cells. Every human has it. Every single one. And we never knew because we never pushed them hard enough to activate it. The crystalline leaned forward, its glass body chiming softly. What are you saying, Instructor Varn? That every human is potentially as dangerous as what we witnessed in the arena? I am saying that we do not know the limits of what humans can do, Varn replied. I pushed Yuna close to death, and she became something that could match a Kalathi warrior. What would happen if a human was pushed further? What would happen if a group of humans were pushed at the same time? We have no idea what they are truly capable of. Fear began to spread through the crowd. Yuna could see it in the way they shifted, the way they whispered to each other. She knew she had to speak now, before things got worse. May I address the council? She asked. The crystalline nodded. You may speak, human. Yuna walked forward until she stood at the very center of the hall. Every eye in the room was on her. She felt small and tired, and still in pain from the fight. But she had to try. I understand your fear, she said. I understand why what happened in the arena worried you. You saw something you did not expect, something you could not explain, and that frightened you. She paused, gathering her thoughts. But I want you to understand something about humans. The survival response that Instructor Varn described, it is not a weapon. It is a last resort. It only activates when we truly believe we are going to die. It evolved not to help us fight, but to help us escape from predators. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of as many beings as she could. For millions of years, my ancestors were prey. They were hunted every day of their lives. They developed this response not because they wanted to kill, but because they wanted to live. That is who we are, survivors. We do not seek conflict. We do not want to fight. But when we are pushed against the wall, when we have no other choice, we will do whatever it takes to survive. She pointed at Varn. I did not break his wrist because I wanted to hurt him. I did it because my body decided it was the only way to live through that fight. The moment I knew I was safe, the power faded. I collapsed and slept for 3 days because using that strength almost killed me. The crystalline considered her words. You are saying this power comes at a great cost to you. Yes, the survival response uses more energy than our bodies can safely produce. It can damage our muscles, our hearts, our minds. Some humans have died from using it too much. It is not a gift. It is a desperate measure that our bodies only use when there is no other option. Yuna took a deep breath. You can put restrictions on us if you want. You can monitor us and study us and treat us like threats. But I want you to know that humans do not want to be your enemies. We came to the stars because we wanted to learn. We wanted to explore. We wanted to find our place in the galaxy. She looked at Varn, then at Taiho, then back at the council. Instructor Varn offered to create a program to study the human survival response. He wants to understand it. Maybe even help humans learn to control it. I think that is a better path than fear and restrictions. We can work together. We can learn from each other. She spread her arms wide. You can be afraid of what we might become when pushed to our limits. Or you can be grateful that we would rather stand beside you than against you. The choice is yours. The hall was silent for a long moment. Then the crystalline spoke. This council will consider your words carefully, human. We will not make a decision today, but I want you to know that your speech has impressed many of us. You could have used this opportunity to threaten us, to show us what humans could do if we became your enemies. Instead, you asked for understanding and cooperation. The ancient being's glass body sparkled with light. Perhaps that says more about your species than any display of strength ever could. Yuna bowed her head slightly. Thank you for listening. As she walked back to join Taiho and Varn, the crowd began to murmur again. But this time, The tone was different. Less afraid. More thoughtful. Taiho put his hand on her shoulder. That was amazing. You might have just changed how the whole galaxy sees us. Yuna shook her head tiredly. Maybe. Or maybe they will still choose fear. I cannot control what they decide. Voran walked up beside them. Whatever they decide, you have earned the respect of this council today. And my respect as well. He looked at her with those yellow eyes that had once held so much contempt. I am proud to call you a student of the Academy. And I am honored that you will help me train others. Yuna looked at the two beings beside her. An alien warrior who had once dismissed her species. A fellow human who had stood by her through everything. An unlikely team formed in the aftermath of a fight that had changed everything. Whatever happens next, she said, we face it together. Voran nodded. Taiho smiled. And somewhere in the depths of the galaxy, word began to spread. Word of the small human who had stood against a Calathi warrior. Word of the impossible strength hidden inside those soft bodies. Word of a species that had been dismissed and ignored, but could no longer be overlooked. The humans had arrived. And the galaxy would never be the same. Yuna woke up in the medical bay. The first thing she saw was white light, so bright it hurt her eyes. The second thing she saw was Taiho's worried face looking down at her. You are awake, he said. His voice cracked with relief. Thank the stars. I thought you were going to die. Yuna tried to sit up, but her body refused to cooperate. Every muscle ached like she had been running for days without rest. Every joint felt like it was filled with broken glass. She groaned and fell back onto the soft bed. Do not move, Taiho said quickly. The medical droid said you need to rest. Your body went through something unusual. How long was I out? Yuna asked. Her voice came out as a rough whisper. 3 days. Yuna blinked. 3 days? Taiho nodded. Your body almost shut down completely after the fight. The doctors had never seen anything like it. They said it was like you burned through years of energy in just a few minutes. Yuna thought about the fire that had burned through her veins during the fight. The power that had filled her muscles. The speed that had let her catch Voran's claw. So that was the price. 3 days of darkness. A body that felt like it had been taken apart and put back together wrong. Worth it, she thought. What happened after I collapsed? She asked. Taiho sat down in a chair beside her bed. His face was strange, a mix of emotions she could not quite read. The whole academy is talking about you, he said. Everyone saw what you did. Everyone saw you break Voran's wrist with your bare hands. They are calling it impossible. They are calling it impossible. They are saying you must have cheated somehow. Use some kind of hidden technology or drug. Yuna shook her head slightly. It hurt to move even that much. I did not cheat. It was something inside me. Something that woke up when I thought I was going to die. I know, Taiho said. Voran has been telling everyone the same thing. He says he felt your strength. Says there was no technology involved. Just pure human biology. Yuna was surprised. Voran is defending me? More than that. He has been visiting the medical bay every day, waiting for you to wake up. He wants to talk to you. Before Yuna could respond, the door to the medical bay opened. Instructor Voran walked in. His right arm was in a special healing brace. But otherwise he looked the same as before. Big, green, covered in scales that could stop blades, but his eyes were different when they looked at Yuna. There was no more contempt there. No more dismissal. There was something that looked almost like curiosity. You are awake, Voran said. Good. I was beginning to worry that the fight had damaged you permanently. I am hard to damage permanently, Yuna said. It was meant to be a joke. but it came out flat. Vorin did not smile. I have been studying your species since our fight, reading every record we have about humans, trying to understand what happened in that arena. He walked closer to her bed. Tayo tensed, but did not move. I found something interesting, Vorin continued. There are old records from the first contact between humans and other species. Records that describe what happens when humans are pushed too far, when their survival is threatened. He stopped beside her bed and looked down at her with those yellow eyes. There was an incident on a colony world, about 30 years ago. A human worker was trapped under heavy machinery. The machine weighed over 2,000 kilograms. There was no way for a human to move it. But the worker's child was also trapped. And when the worker saw her child in danger, Vorin paused. She lifted the machine with her bare hands. She lifted something that should have been impossible for any human to lift. She saved her child and then collapsed, just like you did. Yuna nodded slowly. Hysterical strength. That is what we call it on Earth. When humans are in extreme danger, their bodies can do things that should not be possible. But how? Vorin asked. How does your body produce that kind of power? Where does it come from? Yuna thought about it. The doctors on Earth had studied the survival response for centuries. They understood some of it, but not all. When we are in danger, she said, our bodies release chemicals. Adrenaline, cortisol, other things. These chemicals tell our muscles to work harder than they normally can. They tell our hearts to beat faster. They tell our minds to focus on one thing only, survival. She paused, gathering her thoughts. It was hard to think clearly when her whole body was screaming in pain. Normally, our bodies have limits. Safety limits. They stop us from using our full strength because using our full strength can damage us. But when we are going to die, those limits turn off. Our bodies decide that it is better to be damaged than dead. Vorin was quiet for a long moment. His claws clicked together slowly as he processed this information. So the weakness you showed before the fight, he said, that was not your true strength. That was your body holding back. In a way, yes. We cannot access that full strength all the time. If we could, our bodies would destroy themselves. It only comes out when we truly believe we are going to die. Vorin sat down heavily in another chair. The chair creaked under his weight. In all my years of fighting, he said, I have never encountered anything like this. Other species have strength. They have speed. They have natural weapons, but they cannot just turn off their limits like you can. He looked at his injured arm. When you caught my claw, I felt your grip. It was stronger than anything I have ever felt from a species your size. For a moment, I truly believed you were going to kill me. Yuna felt a strange mix of pride and sadness. I did not want to kill you. I just wanted to survive. I know, Vorin said. That is what makes it so terrifying. You did all that damage not because you wanted to hurt me, but because your body decided it was necessary for survival. Imagine what a human could do if they actually wanted to kill. The room was quiet. Tayo looked between Yuna and Vorin, not sure what to say. Finally, Vorin stood up. He walked to the door, then stopped and turned back. I have spoken with the other instructors, he said. We have decided to create a new training program. A program specifically designed to study human survival responses, to understand them, and maybe to help humans learn to control them. Yuna was surprised. You want to study us? I want to learn from you, Vorin corrected. What happened in that arena changed my understanding of combat. You showed me that strength is not just about muscles and claws. It is about what happens when a species is pushed to its limits. He paused at the door. When you are recovered, I would like you to be part of this program. Not as a student. As a teacher. You have something to offer that no other species can. Then he left, his heavy footsteps echoing down the corridor. Taiho stared at the closed door in disbelief. Did that just happen? Did Varn just ask you to teach at the academy? Yuna closed her eyes. She was exhausted, but she could not stop smiling. I think he did, she said. 3 months ago, he said humans were not suited for combat. Now he wants you to teach. A lot can change in one fight. Taiho laughed. It was a good sound. Yuna had not heard him laugh in a long time. You know what this means, right? He said. It means humans are finally going to be taken seriously here. It means we are finally going to be seen as equals. Yuna opened her eyes and looked at her friend. Maybe, but we still had a lot to prove. One fight is not enough to change how the whole galaxy sees us. It is a start, though. Yuna nodded slowly. Yes, it is a start. She thought about what Vorin had said. About studying the human survival response. About understanding it. About controlling it. What would happen if humans could access that power at will? What would happen if they did not have to wait until they were dying to use their full strength? What would that mean for humanity's place in the galaxy? She did not know the answers, but she knew that things were changing. The fight in the arena had opened a door that could not be closed. The galaxy had seen what humans could do when pushed to their limits, and the galaxy was afraid. For the first time since she arrived at the academy, Yuna felt like she truly belonged. Not because she had proven she was strong, but because she had proven that humans were worth paying attention to. It was a start. And sometimes, a start was all you needed. The main arena was the heart of the Galactic Combat Academy. It was a massive circular space, over 100 meters wide, with walls that rose up toward a domed ceiling made of transparent metal. Through the dome, cadets could see the endless stars and the 3 dying suns that gave the station its light. Around the arena, seats rose in tiers, enough to hold thousands of spectators. Today, almost every seat was full. Word had spread quickly through the station. A human had challenged Instructor Vorin to a barehanded fight. Some thought it was a joke. Others thought it was suicide. But everyone wanted to watch. Yuna stood at the edge of the arena floor, looking at the crowd. She had never seen so many aliens in one place. Reptilians sat next to insectoids. Creatures made of living crystal floated beside beings of pure energy. Every species at the academy had come to see the human fail. Taiho stood beside her. He had not slept well, she could tell. His eyes were red and his face was pale. You can still back out, he said quietly. No one would blame you. Everyone knows Vorin is too strong. Yuna shook her head. If I back out now, it proves everything they think about us. It proves that humans are cowards. That we challenge, but we cannot follow through. Better a living coward than a dead hero, Taiho said. Yuna almost laughed. That is not how the galaxy sees it. These species, they respect strength. They respect courage. If we want them to take us seriously, we have to show them we are not afraid to die. Taiho was quiet for a moment. Then he put his hand on her shoulder. I understand. I do not like it, but I understand. Just try to survive, okay? The academy is lonely enough without you. Yuna nodded. I will do my best. A loud horn sound filled the arena. The crowd went silent. On the opposite side of the arena floor, a large door opened and Instructor Vorin walked out. He was wearing only simple training clothes. No armor, no weapons. But that did not make him look any less dangerous. His green scales shined under the lights. His claws looked like they could cut through metal. His yellow eyes found Yuna immediately, and he began to walk toward the center of the arena. Go, Taiho said, pushing her gently. Show them what humans are made of. Yuna took a deep breath and walked onto the arena floor. Her footsteps sounded too loud in the silence. With each step, she felt the eyes of thousands of aliens watching her, judging her, waiting for her to fall. She stopped in the center of the arena, facing Varin. He stood about 3 meters away. Up close, he seemed even larger than before. His head was almost a meter higher than hers. His arms were thick with muscle under those scales. His claws clicked together slowly, making a sound like knives being sharpened. An old alien floated down from the viewing platform above. It was a Mentari, a species known for their fairness and wisdom. They were often chosen to oversee important events. The Mentari's body was like a cloud of silver mist with 3 glowing eyes at its center. This match is between Instructor Varin of the Kalathi and Cadet Yuna of the humans, the Mentari announced. Its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. The rules are simple. No weapons. No armor. No killing strikes aimed at vital organs. The match ends when one fighter cannot continue or surrenders. The Mentari looked at Yuna with its 3 eyes. Cadet Yuna, do you understand these rules? Yes, Yuna said. Her voice was steady, even though her heart was racing. Instructor Varin, do you understand these rules? Varin nodded slowly. I do. Very well. Take your positions. Yuna and Varin faced each other. The crowd leaned forward in their seats. The air in the arena seemed to grow heavier. Human, Varin said quietly, so only she could hear. I will give you one last chance to withdraw. There is no shame in knowing when you are outmatched. I am not here to win, Yuna replied. I am here to show you that we do not give up. Varin's eyes narrowed. Then you are here to get hurt. Maybe, but I will get back up. Something flickered in Varin's expression. For just a moment, he looked almost impressed. Then his face hardened again. We will see, he said. The Mentari raised one misty arm. Fighters ready? Yuna shifted into a fighting stance. It was a human martial art, one that had been developed on Earth over thousands of years. Her hands came up to protect her face. Her feet spread apart for balance. Her body turned sideways to make a smaller target. Varin did not take any stance at all. He simply stood there, relaxed, his claws hanging at his sides. He did not see her as a threat worth preparing for. Begin, the Mentari called. For a moment, neither of them moved. The crowd held its breath. Yuna watched Varin carefully, looking for any sign that he was about to attack. But he did not move. He was waiting for her. Yuna knew she could not win a straight fight. Varin was too strong, too fast, too experienced. But maybe she could surprise him. Maybe she could show him something he did not expect. She moved first. She ran toward him, low and fast. When she got close, she dove to the left, trying to get behind him. It was a move that had worked against her training partners on Earth. Quick, unexpected, hard to counter. Varin turned with her. His arm swept out, catching her in the side. It felt like being hit by a ground vehicle. Yuna flew through the air and crashed onto the arena floor several meters away. Pain exploded through her ribs. She gasped for breath. The crowd made sounds of disappointment. Some of them were already leaving their seats, thinking the fight was over. But Yuna got up. Her legs shook. Her side hurt badly. But she stood and turned to face Varin again. He looked at her with mild surprise. You can still move. Impressive. Most beings would stay down after that. Yuna said nothing. She just raised her hands again and prepared to attack. She rushed him again. This time, she went straight at him. When she got close, she dropped low and aimed a kick at his knee. The knee was a weak point for most species. If she could damage it, maybe she could slow him down. Her foot hit his knee. It felt like kicking a stone wall. Varin did not even move. Instead, his hand came down and grabbed her by the shoulder. His claws dug into her flesh, and he lifted her off the ground like she weighed nothing. "Weak," he said. Then he threw her. Yuna hit the ground hard. This time, she rolled several times before stopping. Blood was running down her arm where his claws had cut her. Every part of her body was screaming at her to stay down, to give up, to surrender. She got up anyway. The crowd was silent now. No one was leaving. They were all watching with new interest. The human was bleeding. The human was hurt. But the human would not stop. Vorn walked toward her slowly. His expression had changed. He was not amused anymore. He was confused. "Why do you keep getting up?" he asked. "You cannot hurt me. You cannot win. Every time you stand, I will knock you down again. What is the point?" Yuna wiped blood from her mouth. "The point is that I'm still standing. But for how long? How many more times can your body take this punishment?" Yuna smiled, even though it hurt. "More times than you think." She attacked again. And again, Voren knocked her down. She flew across the arena. She hit the wall. She crashed onto the stone floor. Each time, she got up slower. Each time, she had more blood on her face, on her arms, on her clothes. The crowd had stopped making any sound at all. They watched in silence as the small human got up again and again and again. Some of them had fought humans before, in small conflicts at the edge of space. They had thought humans were weak, easy to defeat. Now, they were not so sure. Taeho watched from the edge of the arena with tears in his eyes. He wanted to stop the fight. He wanted to run onto the floor and carry Yuna away. But he knew she would never forgive him if he did. This was her choice. This was her battle. All he could do was watch. After what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes, Yuna stood in the center of the arena, barely able to stay on her feet. Her right eye was swelling shut. Her left arm hung at her side, possibly broken. Blood dripped from a dozen cuts on her body. Varn stood in front of her, completely unhurt, not even breathing hard. He looked at her with an expression that was hard to read. "You should surrender," he said. "You have proven your point. You are brave. Now stop before I hurt you worse." Yuna shook her head. "I said I would not give up. I meant it. You will die. Then I will die standing." Voren stared at her. Then, slowly, he pulled back his arm. His claws glinted in the light. This would be the final strike. Fast enough to knock her out. Hard enough to end the fight. And in that moment, as death came rushing toward her, something inside Yuna changed. Something older than language. Older than thought. Older than civilization itself. Her body moved before her mind could react. Her eyes widened. Her muscles tensed. Time seemed to slow down, and deep inside her cells, a reflex that had been sleeping for millions of years finally woke up. Time moved differently now. Yuna watched Voren's claw coming toward her face, and it was like watching a ship drift slowly through space. She could see every detail. The way the light reflected off his green scales. The slight curve of each claw. The small dust particles floating in the air between them. Her body was moving on its own. She did not tell it to move. She did not think about what to do. Something deeper than thought had taken control. Something that lived in her blood, in her bones, in every single cell of her body. Her heart slammed in her chest, like a war drum. Once, twice. Each beat sent a wave of fire through her veins. She felt her blood pressure spike. Felt her muscles tighten with power they had never had before. Felt her senses sharpen until she could hear the heartbeat of every alien in the arena. This was the human survival response. The thing that had kept her ancestors alive when they were small and weak and surrounded by predators. The thing that had let them run from lions and fight off wolves and survive ice ages that killed stronger species. It had many names: fight or flight, the adrenaline response, survival mode, but those names did not capture what it really was. It was millions of years of evolution, compressed into a single moment. It was the desperate strength of every human who had ever faced death and refused to die. It was the ghost of every ancestor, standing behind her, lending her their power. Varen's claw reached her face, and Yuna's hand shot up to meet it. The sound of impact echoed through the silent arena. Varen's eyes went wide with shock. His claw had stopped. Yuna's hand had caught his wrist, just centimeters from her throat. For a moment, neither of them moved. Yuna looked at her own hand like it belonged to someone else. She could feel Varen's scales under her fingers, could feel his muscles straining against her grip, could feel his pulse racing beneath his skin. She was holding him. She was actually holding him. Varen tried to pull his arm back. His muscles bunched under his scales. He was one of the strongest beings at the academy, trained for over 100 years in combat. His arm should have broken free easily. It did not move. Yuna's fingers tightened. She could feel the power flowing through her body, power she had never known she had. It was like every cell in her body was burning with a white-hot fire, like she had become something more than human, just for this moment. "What is this?" Varen growled. His voice was different now. There was fear in it. Yuna did not answer. She was not sure she could speak. Her mind was barely connected to her body anymore. She was running on pure instinct, pure survival, pure humanity. Varen swung his other arm at her head. His claw sliced through the air with enough force to kill. But Yuna saw it coming like it was moving through thick liquid. She ducked under the blow and tightened her grip on his wrist. Then she twisted. There was a sound like dry wood snapping. Varen screamed. It was a sound that no one in the arena had ever heard before. The mighty Kalathi warrior, the instructor who had never been defeated, was screaming in pain. Yuna had broken his wrist. She let go and stepped back. Varen fell to one knee, holding his injured arm. His yellow eyes were wild with confusion and fear. He looked at Yuna like he was seeing her for the first time. "How?" he gasped. "How is this possible? You are human. You are weak. This cannot be real." Yuna stood over him, breathing hard. The fire was still burning in her veins, but she could feel it starting to fade. She had seconds, maybe, before her body went back to normal, before the price of this power came due. "You do not know anything about humans," she said. Her voice sounded strange to her own ears. Deeper, rougher, like it belonged to something ancient. "You looked at our bodies and saw weakness. You saw no claws, no armor, no venom. You thought that meant we were not dangerous." She took a step closer to Varen. He actually flinched back. "But you did not look at our history," she continued. "You did not see the millions of years we spent as prey. You did not see us running from predators that were bigger and stronger and faster than us. You did not see us fighting for survival every single day." Varen's eyes were locked on hers. The crowd was completely silent. No one moved. No one breathed. "We evolved something," Yuna said. "Something no other species in the galaxy has. When we are in danger, when death is close, our bodies change. Our blood becomes fire. Our muscles become stone. We become something more than what we normally are." She held up her hand. It was shaking now. The power was fading. She could feel the exhaustion waiting to crash over her like a wave. "You called us weak because we do not have natural weapons," she said. "But you were wrong. Our entire body is a weapon. Every cell, every nerve, every drop of blood. We just do not activate it unless we have to." Voran stared at her. Then, slowly, he began to laugh. It was not a mocking laugh. It was something else. Something closer to wonder. In 100 years of fighting, he said, no one has ever broken my wrist. No one has ever made me scream. I have fought warriors from a dozen worlds. I have faced the strongest species in the galaxy. He looked at his injured arm, then back at Yuna. And I was humbled by a human. Yuna felt her legs begin to shake. The power was gone now. She was just herself again, small and weak and covered in blood. The pain was coming back, all the injuries she had ignored during the fight. Her body wanted to collapse, but she stayed standing. She would stay standing until this was over. This is what humans are, she said. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We do not have armor or claws or venom. But when we are pushed to our limits, when death is looking us in the eyes, we become something else. Something you have never seen before. Voran slowly rose to his feet. He was still holding his broken wrist, but his eyes had changed. The contempt was gone. The mockery was gone. In its place was something new. Respect. I was wrong about your species, Voran said. His voice carried across the silent arena. I looked at your bodies and saw prey. I did not realize that you were the most dangerous kind of prey. The kind that can become a predator when it needs to. He turned to face the crowd. Thousands of aliens looked back at him, waiting for his next words. Let it be known, Voran announced, that today I was defeated by a human. Not through luck, not through tricks, but through something I have never seen before. A survival instinct so powerful that it turned a weak body into a weapon. The crowd began to murmur. Yuna could hear their voices mixing together. Confusion, surprise, fear. From this day forward, Voran continued, humans will be treated with respect at this academy. They have earned their place here. They have earned it with blood and pain and courage. He turned back to Yuna and bowed his head. It was a Calathi sign of deep respect, given only to worthy opponents. Thank you, human, he said quietly. You have taught me something today, something I will not forget. Yuna wanted to respond, but her body had finally reached its limit. The fire in her blood was completely gone now. The exhaustion hit her like a falling moon. Her legs gave out. The world tilted sideways. She saw the arena floor rushing up to meet her dot. Then everything went dark. The last thing she heard was Taiho's voice, calling her name as he ran toward her. And somewhere in the crowd, the sound of aliens who had never cheered for a human before, beginning to applaud. The Galactic Combat Academy floated in the dark space between 3 dying stars. It was a massive station, built from metal and stone taken from 100 different worlds. Every species in the known galaxy sent their best warriors here. They came to learn. They came to fight. They came to prove themselves. Yuna stood in the training hall with her back straight and her eyes forward. She was the only human in a room full of aliens. Around her stood creatures of every shape and size. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had skin that changed color with their mood. All of them were bigger than her. All of them were stronger. And all of them were looking at her like she did not belong. She had been at the academy for 3 months now. 3 months of silence. 3 months of being ignored. 3 months of watching other cadets train together while she practiced alone in the corner. The other species did not hate humans. That would require them to care about humans at all. Instead, they simply acted like humans did not exist. Yuna was used to it by now. Earth had only joined the galactic community 50 years ago. In the grand history of the universe, that was nothing. Humans were new. Humans were weak. Humans had no claws, no armor, no venom. Their teeth were small. Their bodies were soft. They could not see in the dark or hear sounds from far away. To the rest of the galaxy, humans were like children playing at being warriors. The training hall was circular and very large. The floor was made of some kind of hard black stone that absorbed sound. High above, viewing platforms were filled with senior cadets and instructors watching the day's lessons. In the center of the room stood Instructor Varn. Varn was a Calathi, a species of reptilian warriors from a heavy gravity world. He stood over 2 meters tall. His body was covered in thick green scales that could stop a blade. His hands ended in claws as long as Yuna's fingers. His eyes were yellow with black slits, and they showed no warmth at all. He had been a soldier for over 100 years before becoming an instructor. It was said that he had killed more enemies than he could count. Today's lesson was about close combat without weapons. Varn walked slowly around the circle of cadets, studying each one. Combat is not about strength alone, Varn said. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. It is about knowing your body, knowing your limits, knowing what you can and cannot do. He stopped in front of a large furry cadet from a cold world. The cadet stood proud. The Norathi, Varn continued, have dense muscle and thick bones. They are built for power. He moved on to a thin cadet with 4 arms. The Vexi have speed and reach. They strike from angles their enemies cannot predict. Varn walked past several more cadets, saying something about each species, their natural weapons, their biological advantages, the things that made them dangerous. Yuna felt her stomach tighten as he got closer to her. Finally, Varn stopped in front of Yuna. He looked down at her with those cold yellow eyes. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he turned to address the whole room. "And then we have the humans," he said. Some of the cadets made sounds that might have been laughter. Varn held up one clawed hand for silence. "Humans are an interesting case," Varn said. "They have no natural weapons. No claws, no fangs, no venom. Their skin is soft. Their bones break easily. They cannot survive in extreme heat or cold without special equipment. By all measurements, they should not have survived on their own world, let alone reach the stars." Yuna kept her face still. She had heard this before, many times. And yet, Varn said, here they are. They asked to join this academy. They asked to be trained as warriors. He paused. This shows either great courage or great stupidity. I have not yet decided which. More sounds of amusement from the crowd. Yuna felt heat rising in her chest, but she did not move. She did not speak. She had learned that speaking out only made things worse. The truth is, Varn continued, walking away from Yuna, humans are not suited for combat. They lack the physical tools that other species possess. They tire quickly. They are fragile. In a real fight against a trained warrior of any other species, a human would die quickly. Yuna's hands tightened into fists at her sides. In the crowd, she saw her only friend at the academy. Taiho was another human, a quiet young man with kind eyes. He had arrived at the academy the same day as Yuna. He was shaking his head slightly, warning her to stay calm. Varn turned back to face the cadets. This is not an insult. It is simply a fact. In war, facts matter more than feelings. A warrior must know what they are. A warrior must know their place. And what is our place? The words left Yuna's mouth before she could stop them. The room went silent. Every eye turned to her. Varn stopped walking and slowly turned to face her. His yellow eyes narrowed. What did you say, cadet? Yuna's heart was beating fast now, but she did not look away. You said a warrior must know their place. I am asking you, instructor. What place do you think humans should have? Varn walked toward her slowly. His footsteps were heavy on the stone floor. He stopped directly in front of her, so close that she could smell the strange scent of his scales. Your place, Varun said quietly, is in the support roles. Medical, engineering, communications. Humans are clever, good with machines and medicine. That is where you can be useful to the galaxy. Not here. Not in combat. Then why did you accept humans into this academy? Varun's eyes flickered with something. Surprise, maybe. Or annoyance. Because your government asked. Because they believed humans could become warriors. They were wrong. Yuna felt something shift inside her. Something old. Something she had been pushing down for months. Prove it, she said. The silence in the room became absolute. Even the air seemed to stop moving. Excuse me? Varun said. Prove it, Yuna repeated. Her voice was steady now. You say humans cannot fight. You say we would die quickly against any other species. So prove it. Fight me. Right now. Show everyone that you are right. Varun stared at her for a long moment. Then his mouth opened slightly, showing rows of sharp teeth. It took Yuna a moment to realize he was smiling. You want to fight me? Varun asked. Barehanded? No weapons? No armor? Yes. Taiho pushed forward through the crowd. Yuna, stop. This is crazy. He will kill you. Yuna did not look at him. She kept her eyes on Varun. I am not asking him to kill me. I am asking him to give me a chance. One chance to prove that humans belong here. Varun looked at her with new interest. And if you lose? If I hurt you badly? Then I will accept your judgment, Yuna said. I will leave the combat program. I will take a support role like you suggested. But if I survive, if I show you something you did not expect, then you stop treating humans like we are nothing. Varun was quiet for a moment. Around them, the other cadets watched in silence. Some looked excited. Some looked worried. None of them expected Yuna to survive. Finally, Varun nodded slowly. Very well, human. Tomorrow, in the main arena, we will see what you are made of. He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper that only she could hear. I hope you have made peace with your gods. Yuna did not blink. I do not believe in gods, instructor. I believe in myself. Varun stepped back, still showing his teeth in that strange smile. Then you are a fool. But at least you are a brave one. He turned to the rest of the cadets. Tomorrow, you will all witness a lesson about knowing your limits. Class dismissed. The cadets began to leave, talking excitedly among themselves. Taiho grabbed Yuna's arm and pulled her aside. What are you doing? He demanded. Varun has killed people in training before. Not on purpose, but he is so strong that accidents happen. You cannot win against him. Yuna looked at her friend with tired eyes. I know I cannot win, Taiho. That is not the point. Then what is the point? Yuna thought about it for a moment. She thought about all the times she had been ignored. All the times she had been told she did not belong. All the times she had been treated like nothing. The point is to show them that we are not afraid, she said. Even if we lose, even if we get hurt, we do not give up. We do not run. That is what being human means. Taiho stared at her. Then he sighed and shook his head. You are crazy. But I will be there tomorrow. I will watch. And if he hurts you too badly, I will carry you to the medical bay myself. Yuna smiled slightly. Thank you, Taiho. That night, Yuna lay in her small room and stared at the ceiling. She thought about Earth. She thought about her family. She thought about all the humans who had come before her, fighting against impossible odds just to survive. Tomorrow, she would fight a monster. Tomorrow, she would probably lose. But she would not go quietly. She would show them all what humans could do. And deep inside her cells, in a place she did not even know existed, something ancient began to wake up.